Tyron Woodley, man. Tyron Woodley. Run the intro. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the UFC arena. Jake Paul versus Tyron Woodley is over, and it was an interesting fight. First off, I'd like to give props to Jake Paul. This was his toughest test yet. He faced some adversity. He got hurt at one point. He was able to weather the storm. He was able to fight intelligently for the most part, and it was a good showing. You definitely saw his inexperience, though. You saw that he still has a lot to learn, which is completely fine for someone at his level. Tyron Woodley, on the other hand, he could have done better. He took too many rounds off. The first 2 rounds he basically did nothing, and anyone who watches the UFC recognized that version of Tyron Woodley in there. That's the version of Tyron Woodley who plays it safe. He only does the bare minimum. He spends the entire fight looking for that one knockout blow, and he just lets rounds go. He was not aggressive enough, and even when he was pressing forward and in Jake Paul's face, he would not throw. Like, Woodley, throw, man. Like, that was definitely a winnable fight for Tyron Woodley. He beat himself as far as I'm concerned. He could have thrown more, but he did not. At the end of the fight, he did not look nearly as gassed as he should be after the end of an 8-round fight, because he left some of it in the tank. We know Woodley has had some gas tank issues in the past, right? And since then, he's fought conservatively to keep his gas tank, but that has not worked for him on so many occasions, and that is the same thing that happened to him this time around. Who was the better boxer? Honestly, I think that Jake Paul showed better boxing skill than Tyron Woodley did in this fight. Woodley had one shot. He was a one-trick pony, and I said that going into this fight. A lot of us did, and it turned out to be true. However, he did land that one shot, and he was effective with it sometimes. Jake Paul, on the other hand, was throwing combinations. He was not just throwing one shot, which is what gave him the upper hand and allowed him to win some of those rounds. If Woodley had started fighting from the very start, it's very possible he would have been able to win that fight. I do think that in the first 2 rounds, Woodley was a little too cautious of Jake Paul's power, because the last thing he wants is to go out there and to get knocked out by Jake Paul in the first round or the second round. So I understand the hesitancy in that regard. But I mean, come on, Woodley, you're a UFC fighter, you've been to the top, you face way more dangerous strikers than this guy. So I think he gave Jake Paul a little too much respect. Even when Woodley hurt Jake Paul, he did not show enough urgency for my liking, because he was still just throwing one shot. And anytime Woodley tried to throw a combination, his boxing was not nearly as clean or nearly as tight as someone would expect it to be. So once again, us UFC fans who've been watching the UFC for a long time, we knew that Woodley is not this amazing striker that those people who don't watch the UFC or don't watch MMA try to hype him up to be. Yes, he was a champion. Yes, he was an excellent fighter, one of the best welterweights in the world. That is undebatable. However, he was not the best striker in the UFC, and he was never one of the top strikers in the UFC. What I would love to see is, if we're going to send another UFC fighter to fight Jake Paul, please let it be a good striker this time, and someone that is close to his weight. Both Jorge Masvidal and Nate Diaz are significantly smaller than Jake Paul. Conor McGregor, same thing, size disadvantage. If we're sending someone from the UFC, an actual striker, to fight Jake Paul in boxing, it needs to be someone from at least welterweight and up. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Of course, no one wants to see that. That's not going to sell or whatever. But Wonderboy is a great striker. He will destroy Jake Paul. Robert Whittaker, he will destroy Jake Paul. Israel Adesanya, he will destroy Jake Paul. So right now, there are people out there thinking, whoa, these UFC guys, they just can't box, because the examples that they got are Ben Askren and Tyron Woodley. None of those guys are amazing strikers in the UFC. Woodley is definitely a step up from Askren, but there are levels above Woodley. So we need to send an actual striker, please, and thank you. Jake Paul, hats off to him. He did well. He performed well. This was a step up, as I said, and he passed the test. That one judge who scored it in favor of Woodley, I have no idea what that judge was watching. I thought that was a pretty clear decision for Jake Paul. I only gave Woodley 2 rounds in the entire fight. So yes, in my prediction, I picked Jake Paul to win. I thought it would be a close fight. He did win, but I was rooting for Tyron Woodley. And I think that it was a very winnable fight for Woodley. He just refused to throw. He was too conservative, as he has been so many times in the past. Anyway, guys, that's the end of this video. If you enjoyed my content, leave a like, leave a subscription. I'm trying to get to 300 subscribers, guys, so please help your boy out. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you thought about the fight. Let me know who you think Jake Paul should fight next. Also, what about Woodley? What should he do next? I think absolutely nothing. Just move on, bro. He had a good career. But at the end of the day, it's his life. He can do whatever he pleases. Anyway, thanks for listening, and I'll see y'all in the next one.